Yo guys, what is up? It's Teach here, coming at you again with another video over on Ark Survival Ascended, and in this video I'm going to show you 25 plus pro tips to be good or better at Aberration. I almost guarantee that there's some of these that you've never heard before, and yeah, these are all hopefully helpful tips for you, and they will give you a bunch of knowledge. Now, it could be anything from when you're struggling with this, you just take these. There's a lot of different things that you can do in Aberration to make your time simpler. I've got more than 15,000 hours inside of Ark, so I know just a little bit about this game. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So as soon as you start up in the Ark, you'll realize that you can, when you are running, you lose stamina. When you lose stamina, in order to replenish your stamina, you lose food and water. Now, it's cranked up over on Aberration. It's one of the worst things in the world. So you can actually get rid of this status, by the way, and lose less food and water is if after you are running, all you have to do is lay down. And if you lay down, it essentially drops the food and water consumption to a non-existent number, meaning that your stamina goes back up without draining. It's like almost no food or water. So every time you're done running, simply lay down and you will reduce the amount of food and water you consume, which is going to save you a lot of time, especially early game on Aberration. So definitely use that. Now, let me go back into GCM mode real quick. So anyways, we just gathered some mushrooms. So let's go ahead and talk about mushrooms just a little bit because they're very, very important in this game. So aggravatic mushrooms, these ones right here, the ones like with the 3 of them and they got like a weird little cap to them. They are essentially a mini health brew. That's what they are. They're a micro health brew. So you can actually eat them and they will restore health. So your natural health restoration will restore just a little bit over time. The micro health brew or these aggravatic mushrooms will basically take your health and it will restore it about 2 to 3 times as fast as you normally would. So not quite as fast as a regular health brew, but it will restore your health at a much faster rate. So 2 to 3 times as fast as normal. So carry some of these around, because if you're low on health, they might be the difference between actually surviving and dying inside of the game. So definitely keep those. Now, speaking of mushrooms, you saw me know what to do, right? So there's a bunch of negative status effects that you can get inside of it. See those tiny little mushrooms right there, the smaller ones? Those ones will cause what just happened to me to happen. And you can eat those aggravatic mushrooms to essentially shield you from that effect. So see how it's going to keep puffing it out? It's going to prevent you, as long as you have that shield in that bottom right corner right there, it'll shield you from actually taking damage from that, which is obviously a very useful thing. So you want to be able to know what mushroom to use when. Now, also in the blue zone, so this entire blue zone right here, you can sometimes get the blue mushroom effect, which is like a freezing effect and it will knock you out over time. If you consume aquatic mushrooms, when you currently have that effect going on, maybe I haven't picked any up right now, apparently. Oh no, they're down here. Aquatic mushrooms, those aquatic mushrooms will get rid of that effect and actually give you a buff from getting that debuff again. So eating aquatic mushrooms will save you from the blue spores and the blue mushrooms in the blue zone. So definitely utilize those. Now, the next thing, even though people don't like to admit it this much, the Edge 1 spawn, which is where I am right now, the Edge 1 spawn will spawn you anywhere right here, is the best spawn in the entire game. It is the safest, even though it says it's a hard spawn location early game, definitely go to the Edge 1. The reason you want to go to the Edge 1 is because Portal is death. Turtle Lake is death, even though it says they're easy spawns, they're not. In the 4 edge spots, they're the best spots, but Edge 1, because you can get close to every single resource that you need, is the best spawn point of the game, and you should definitely capitalize on that. And that leads us into our next little tip, is that in the Edge 1 spot, you can actually go to what's called Nameless free ledges. Now, if you use a zip line or just, run and jump with a parachute, you can usually hit it. If you jump from there, you can usually land right over here, or at least on that branch right there. And this ledge right here, and every ledge that's underneath it, so there's 1, 2, 3 ledges right there. These are all actually nameless free ledges. So I can stand and work up here in the blue zone without experiencing a single nameless. There is enough metal on this ledge and wood to supply you with a never-ending supply, because by the time you get back to this side, it takes about 20 minutes to harvest it all. You can go back to this side and it's just a never-ending supply without any nameless. You don't need a Lightpet, you don't need anything. Grab an Anki and a Roll Rat and you will have so much resources that it's almost a joke. So definitely utilize that. And that is, honestly, it's one of the best ways to harvest in the entire game, is to use these ledges, especially on solo player mode, where you can just finding like a base in something like this is a really, or building a base there is a super useful thing. Now the next thing that I want to talk about is there are 4 different light pets. There are glowtails, featherlights, bulldogs, and shinehorns. The 2 best, and it's not really close for light pets, are the featherlights, which can be found in the radiation zone, and glowtails, which can be found in Glowtail Cave, which is like right around here. And the reason that those are the best is because they lay eggs, so you can actually breed them much more effectively, where the other 2 lay, or I guess have pregnancies, so it's much more difficult to raise them and get a hold of them. But if you have an oviraptor, getting featherlights and glowtails should be the first thing you do, because featherlights actually have an increased recharge rate and have a stupid high zone that they affect. Each 4 of the light pets have a special ability. The glowtails regain the charge the fastest. The featherlights have the biggest aura around them for like the amount of charge they push out. So those 2 in combination are the 2 most important things. Bulldogs have the most health, and then shinehorns, I can't remember their specific ability. But you want to get a hold of featherlights as well as glowtails. Sorry, like brain farted there for a second. So definitely use those because you want those for their eggs. Now the next thing is Cosmo, right? Cosmo is a brand new thing, and it's something that you're going to want to utilize. You'll see him hanging from the ceiling every now and then. They will run around on the ground as well and play the green light, red light game with you. However, there are 2 commands that you want to know because it makes it so much easier to actually swing with them. Because even though they don't have light emission, I think they messed up and forgot to add light emission. If you hit left control while using a Cosmo, it'll pull you up to the ceiling, and you can use that in combination while you're swinging to actually generate momentum and move further and further. So using left control while you have Cosmo out will give you a huge advantage. I don't see a Cosmo right now, so I'm not going to show you that because I'm trying to make this video quick so it's not like 80 minutes long. I'm trying to give you as many hints as I can. So Cosmo using that left shift will, or left control will reel in, and then you hit spacebar to jump, and then continue to do that over and over, and it will make your life so much easier. Now, while you're doing that, you can also wear a glider suit, and you can glide once you get up to the top, glide your way down, and then Cosmo your way up, and then glide your way down, and you can pretty much traverse the entire Ark map with Cosmo and a glider suit. You just have to practice with it a little bit, but it's really, really good and really easy to combine those 2. Now, the next tip that I'm going to give you, this is another one that should help you out a ton. This is a free keratin map. Basically, there are bones, big bones, that spawn over in the surface caves. Now, surface caves can be found in 3 different locations. There is one right over here in the blue zone. There is one right over here. There is one, where is it? I'm being stupid. No, it's over here. It's on this side. And then there is one down in the pink zone as well. So there are technically 4 entrances, but yeah, inside of each of those entrances, in the bottom side, there are bones. And those bones, like you see right here, can be harvested with a chainsaw. And that chainsaw will gather an insane amount of keratin. This is on 1 times, by the way, so on official numbers, I'm getting about 400 to 500 per bone. And depending on the size of it, you can see this is a larger bone, so I got almost 600 keratin off of that. It's a great way to get access to both cementing paste and anything else you might need with keratin or chitin. Huge, huge advantage, so capitalize on that for sure. Now the next thing, I've got a video on this one, it's really strong. Beezle Bufos are in this map, and people didn't really know why for the longest time, and I've been using it. I thought people knew this. If you use a Beezle Bufo, which is the frog, right, the jumping frog, they can actually eat these bugs that you see in front of me, the light bug, and just like they would, you can harvest the charge too, by the way, it doesn't matter all that much. But every time they eat one of those little bugs, they actually, just like they would in every other map, eating a bug gets cementing paste. So if you're struggling with cementing paste and keratin isn't an option like I just showed you right there, grab a Beezle Bufo. And there are so many bugs on this map that you can run around for like 20 minutes and get like a few thousand cementing paste with a Beezle Bufo. Some of the best places that you can do it is inside of the blue zone because they're easy to spot in the blue zone. But if you want, just go up to like the edge of the blue zone, and they tend to spawn in crazy numbers. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I count right there. And they'll get anywhere on 1x from 8 cementing paste to 12 or 24 sometimes if you're lucky. Per light bug they kill. So it's a quick way to get a ton of cementing paste. Now, Again, when we're talking about resources, let's talk about some of the more difficult resources to get on any other map, and that's polymer. However, on this map, polymer can actually be harvested from plants. Now, plants that spawn all over the entire radiation zone, or the red zone, for those of you that want the color of the zone, they can be found in safe areas. The coordinates that I'm at right now actually have polymer plants that don't go into the radiation zone at 61.7, 72.8. And see those little plants that have like a pink bulb on them? You can harvest those with polymer. Now, there's two ways to do it. You can use a sickle, and sickle will get you a stupid amount of polymer, or you can use a dire bear, and the dire bear will also gather at it's like 5x rate. So on official, you can slot cap a dire bear in about 10 seconds. I'm not kidding. You can get a stupid amount of polymer from these little bulbed plants, and I've got a video on it. If you haven't checked it out, you should look at it. It's a longer video to explain where to go to get the most and all that kind of stuff. So definitely capitalize on that. Now, speaking of resources, there are some resources that are a little bit difficult to gather on this map. That specifically being oil. Oil is pretty much the only resource that's difficult on this map, and there's some stuff that you can do early game to get a ton of oil. If you tame a Spino. A Spino can run up the rivers that exist in the green zone. Just so you can see, this is edge 1, and it's going to keep coming up over and over again. Edge 1 has some really, really strong access to oil early on. And that's because trilobites. Now, trilobites can be harvested, and I'm going to go ahead and show you. They're all over this river. The entire bottom of this river is filled with trilobites. When you eat a trilobite with a Spino, it will give you chitin, oil, and both sets of pearls. Now, that is incredibly useful. Obviously, oil is difficult to get unless you go to the surface. So early game oil, use a Spino and run up this river right here, and you'll gain a stupid amount of oil. Now, if you want to, late game, what you're going to do is you'll go to the surface, and once you get to the surface, you can actually get oil just by harvesting the oil nodes, but it can be difficult early game to actually successfully do that. So I would encourage you to actually just run up and down these rivers and kill the trilobites in the rivers. It'll be so worth your time. In a Spino, because they have a big AoE, can kill like 10 trilobites at a time. So use that as much as you possibly can. Now, next tip for getting resources, right? We're going to go back to the red zone or radiation zone. The radiation zone, in case you haven't figured it out, just use your map. When I say red, blue, green, those kinds of things, the entire zone usually is something that you can harvest resources in. So the radiation zone, right? This is where you can gather black pearls. Now, you have to go to the actual element river in the radiation zone, which can be difficult to find. But if you find a river source, they all lead to the element river. You just have to actually find the way that it goes. Sometimes that can be difficult, but that's about it. See how it all flows down. And once it gets to the very bottom, the element river turns like this pinkish color. At the very bottom of this, just like you can harvest on like non-aberrant maps, you can harvest black pearls. You can see them all over the place. They are everywhere. They're very easy to gather. You just walk up and hit them. You can also use a whip to actually give you an increased effectiveness. And in general, it is a very good thing to be able to do. If you want to level your character up just a touch inside of melee, you can actually get more black pearls. So if you just want to get a whole bunch real quick, level them up, maybe fly down on a rock drake or a Texu and get a whole bunch just by leveling up melee just a little bit, because that will increase the amount that you get per hit, because it counts as you like hitting the red pearl or the black pearls. Now, this next trick I'm gonna have to kind of show you. Actually, no, I'll just explain it. I don't have to show you. Karkinos are the most important thing in this map. So people think that when you harvest with a Karkinos or you harvest using an Anki in a Karkinos, what happens is that you cannot walk anymore if the Anki that you're carrying has more weight than the Karkinos can carry. However, you can throw things that are encumbered. So if you have a Karkinos and an Anki, and both people or someone's riding the Anki and someone's riding the Karkinos, and you hold C, you can control throw people at rocks and let them harvest, even if the Anki is completely encumbered. And that is how people do black box runs on this map, where they just throw Ankis at resources, and the Karkinos can throw it however far you need them to. And then once it's done, they just throw them back to base, and you unload everything without. So the Anki will be completely encumbered, and so will the Karkinos, but you can still throw with the Karkinos when something's above max weight. So that's super helpful. Now, the next thing on our list in the red and the blue zones, Nameless will spawn forever. Now, why is that a useful thing to know? 2. 1, if you're on an official server, you will need Nameless Venom. As long as you leave one Nameless alive, it will become the alpha, or the alpha will continue to spawn more in. Now, the alpha is the orange one. So you can kill the orange one and another one will become the alpha, but as long as you leave one alive, Nameless will spawn forever. That's a good way to do 3 things. 1, if you need hide, kill the Nameless, never let them stop spawning, and you can just kill them on repeat for hide and meat. It's a great way to do meat runs. It's a great way to do a hide run without ever having to move. And the last thing is you can basically get unlimited Nameless Venom by doing that strategy. As long as you keep one alive, they will continue to spawn. And even if you're over encumbered, they will drop the Nameless Venom in a bag. Once that bag, or once you've decided you're done, just go pick up all the bags and you will have hundreds of Nameless Venom and you won't have to worry about a thing at all. So use the fact that Nameless spawn forever. Now, next up on our list, let's see if I can find one right now. Even though people might not believe me when I say this, this is actually how it works. Megalosaurus get a buff in the nighttime. I want to say it's something like 50% for melee and attack, and they have increased attack speed, all kinds of crazy stuff. Megalos are actually the #1 tame on this map because they can shred literally everything. Even a Reaper King. If you have a Lightpet on a, Megalo, a Reaper King doesn't stand a chance against a Megalosaurus. The Megalosaurus is always been and has always been one of the best tames in the entire game. It's just because the day buff exists on other maps, they're not super useful on other maps because during the day, which is when most, that's 50% of the time, they're not useful. The other 50% of the time they're useful, but 50%? Not super strong, especially considering a lot of unofficial maps have like reduced night times. So yeah, even though Reapers are good and you can see me attacking things just like this right here, a Megalo, as long as you have a Lightpet on the shoulder, 1v1 with a Reaper King, you will win every time with a Megalo as long as they're both bred. So yeah, even a wild tame will come close to killing a good Reaper King. So keep that in mind. Definitely utilize Megalos because they're the best thing in this game. All right, now the next thing on this list. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you how to get the best loot in the game. It's actually really simple to do. You just need to know where to go. If you go to the portal zone, the portal zone is the zone that most people spawn in, realize that there's 1.5 million Basilisk, and then they immediately run away from the portal zone. There is a entrance to the surface called the Surface Cave entrance. This right here. And this one actually has some of the best loot in the entire game. Now you can only access it at night, set time of day. I can't spell right now. Set time of day. There it is. Okay. I was like, why can I not spell? Set time of day. At nighttime, you can access it. And that's the only time you can actually access the surface zone. So you'll see that it takes a little while to cool down, but it's like this orangish colored rock. I don't know why they didn't fix it, but it'll turn into like a night zone pretty rapidly. And you can see that there are loot crates out here. Now these loot crates are actually increased. Look at that. Look at that right there. That's the best way to get loot in the entire game, is to go and get loot crates on the surface. And one of the biggest zones to get them is the actual cave right over here, because there are 2 entrances. There's this entrance, which also goes into the red zone entrance, which is on the back side over here. And if you look right here, this is the entrance to the red radiation zone from that same exact cave. Now, it's a very useful strategy. People will build their bases in there pretty often. And yeah, you can't really complain too much about it because it's a great place to build. Now in here, there's also quite a few Reaper Queen spawns, but this zone that I was just in is some of the best loot in all of Ark, is to run these drops. They're called surface drops, and they spawn pretty rapidly. I think this one has 3 that can spawn at any given time. And you can just run in circles and gather a ton of resources from this zone. There's one right there. Looks like it's spawning down, but the surface entrances, I don't know why this one gives such good loot, but this one is my favorite one to go to when you hit up the portal entrance over here. Now you can also go to the entrance over here. The one that touches this one will go, this is a great one to go to. And then this one is also a great one to go to in the blue zone, but you can get your surface loot, and that's the best way to get loot in this map. So definitely utilize that. Now, if you haven't seen my video on the Reaper taming glitch, there is actually a Reaper taming glitch. Once you are pregnant with a Reaper, what you can do is you can actually encumber yourself with meat and whatever else you want, And as soon as you give birth, lock it in a 2x1 room and then let it kill you. It will harvest everything on your body, meaning that you do not have to feed it in the baby stage at all, and it will basically auto raise itself, which is a very useful trick. And then you can just go back in later, and then once it's able to eat off a feeding trough, which is after 10%, it will give you the ability to raise Reapers like instantly, basically, and just on a never-ending spree, which is super useful because Reapers are pretty powerful. Not quite as powerful as a Megalo, but still really good creatures for this map. So use that. Now, next on our list is genes. The genes just got added into the game, and the gene scanner is incredibly useful because you can tame and pull genetic code from any creature and increase your chance at mutations, increase your chance at a whole bunch of different things. I'll go ahead and show you what I mean by that, because genes can be taken from a parent or an adult creature and applied to a baby creatures, and they can stack up to 5 different times, which means that if you have a good set and there are 3 tiers of stuff, you can get up to 10% bonus chance at mutation. You can get up to, like, give or take, like 30% vampiric trait, I think is what it's called, or vampirism. And yeah, there's a lot of really good things. You're going to have to spend some time learning the system with the genes, like I have right here with the gene scanner, but it'll be worth your time. I swear, it's an incredible new system, and it adds a little bit of a complexity to the game, and it'll definitely just always carry a gene gun. That's my hint. All right, next up on our list, there is actually a really easy early game Silica Pearl spawn called Silica Pearl River. A lot of people forget this exists because, especially now that Silica Pearls do not glow as much, you can find it at this chord right here, 23.5, 49.5. There is a micro river right here, and inside of the deeper sections of this micro river, you will find Silica Pearls. Now, I've harvested them pretty recently, so I'm not sure I'll find them, but we'll see. If you go to the deeper sections, I swear you'll find them. Let's see if I can go up to this next section for sure. I know they're in here. You'll see a whole bunch of Silica Pearls. Now, you can gather about 50 nodes through all of these sections, and if you just swim through all of them, they will show up. It's just sometimes hard to notice them because of the foliage and stuff like that. But there's a whole bunch inside of this river, and you can harvest them the entire way down from the deeper sections. And sometimes they're hard to find, but they're pretty easy for the most part. So definitely use that little trick for early game Silica Pearls. Now, in regards to Silica Pearls, as long as we're talking about them, let's talk about anglerfish, because anglerfish in the blue zone are actually some of the easiest tames in the entire game. There's one specific spot that you can actually glitch tame anglerfish, so they can't run and they can't do anything. They just have to sit and let you tame them. Now, that specific spot is this river right up here, and the chords for it, just so you can see, 51.9, 78.1. See how there's anglerfish in this little micro river that's only like 4 feet deep? Yeah, you can literally shoot these guys from the surface. They can't move. They get stuck in a corner, and you can tame a never-ending spree of anglerfish. Now, the one thing you'll have to do is obviously there's a couple of Karkinos that spawn right here. You will have to kill the Karkinos and some of the other aggressive tames, but this is a easy spot to tame anglerfish and get a stupid amount of anglerfish for pearls. Now, pearls can be gathered from Fertile Lake, but anglerfish is the best way to place it. Now, next on this list is another new tip. So at the very end of your list right here is the Tesla coil. The Tesla coil is the new turret that you need the heavy auto turret in order to unlock. And it's an electrical thing that's a buff or debuff turret. I'll explain what it does because you're going to want these. One option is it can burn things. Burning things prevents the increase in healing. So if you're burning something, it's causing time or damage over time, and it also prevents the veggie cakes from healing a raiding creature. The stun will stun a creature, knocking off the player, preventing it from moving any further. There is a cooldown timer of like 30 seconds per time it stuns, but stun is definitely worth it. And then the third option that you can use with this Tesla coil is inflicting damage vulnerability, meaning it increases the damage taken from all sources of whatever this Tesla coil is hitting. So in combination with other turrets, you can do so much damage, it's almost a joke. You definitely need to use it. It does consume crystal to fire, but using these things in combination with other turrets will make your base so much harder to raid. So definitely utilize the Tesla coil. So yeah, you should definitely memorize those because that's going to be huge for you. All right, next up on our list for Aberration is the Rock Drake buff, or I guess the glitch nest, right? The Rock Drake glitch nest. The Rock Drake glitch nest is one of the best things that you can use on the entire game because it's a never-ending supply of Rock Drake eggs. I'm gonna go ahead and go to the spawn. I'll show you how to get there. Oh man, it's a pain in my butt. I can't remember it all the time. But if you go to the radiation zone and find the spire that goes down, and the spire is literally just like this glowing thing with the metal that goes straight down, right? If you go to this, find the creature at the bottom, look at its head, where its head is pointing this way is the Rock Drake nests. Now the Rock Drake nest that will never end spawn an egg comes from this back side over here. See this nest right here? This is the glitch nest. I pick up this egg and then I go away. I leave render range, which I usually sit across this little river right here, and then I go back. It sometimes takes a second to spawn in when I'm in GCM mode, moving at 9 million miles an hour. It'll spawn in, as you saw it right there, another Rock Drake egg. And you can do this a million times and get infinite Rock Drake eggs. It's a super awesome little trick that you can use and just keep getting eggs over and over and over again. So now that you've got unlimited Rock Drake eggs, guess what? You can tame basilisks, and there is a basilisk treat, like a little trick that you can use in order to easily tame any basilisk. All you need to do is get a small tame, whether it be Cosmo or one of the light pets or a dodo. You put a foundation over the top of them. So if I had a Cosmo right there, you put a foundation over the top, and then you take one of those Rock Drake eggs, or a couple of them, and you put it on top. A basilisk that is trying to, so you basically aggro a basilisk, it'll try and hit the tame inside of the foundation, and while it's hitting the tame in the foundation, it will eat the Rock Drake eggs. That means that it's taming. So you can literally cheese taming basilisks by doing exactly what I said. I've got a video talking about that process in full. Most of these things I have videos for. You can check them out if you have questions. Just search the channel. I'm trying to give you like the quick synopsis so it's not an hour-long, 2-hour-long video. All right, so anyways, that is how you can basilisk glitch tame. Now, the next thing, this is your, people don't use this. This is your, the fastest thing you need to learn. This is the base pinging system or pinging system. If you go to waypoints, you can create a new waypoint at any coordinate in the game and then ping that coordinate by just clicking on it. Use your map because it's going to save you so much time. You can also find your last deaths and ping last deaths, or death 67 or death 24, whatever it happens to be, you can ping it. Using your map is going to save you so much time on Aberration that it's almost funny. So definitely utilize that. Now, I talked about it a little bit before, but the best crates in the game, people are going to tell you it's going to come from the actual caves. The best loot crates in this game come from the surface. You can get them also from going to any of the caves. There's only 3. It's Glowtail Cave, I think it's Shadow Cave, and I can't remember the name of the last cave. They will have loot crates as well, but the best is from the surface. Surface Cave is some of the best loot crates in the game. Now, the last tip, and probably the most important tip, is going to be something that I use all the time, and that is the Reaper glitch. Now, just like there was a spawn point with that Rock Drake egg where we know that they're going to spawn in over and over and over and over and over again, there are 2 points that you can find guaranteed Reaper queens. Now let me show you that. So if you go to, where's my chords? There we are. All right, so if you go to these chords right now, 61.6 and 72.3, what's going to happen is that there are 2 ways that you can go to get guaranteed Reaper queens. Now, they do move around, so they won't always be in the exact same spot unless no one's rendered them recently, but you can actually go and head, so like I gave you the chords, just follow where I'm going. There are 2 guaranteed Reaper queens. They rotate between these 2 zones. So the first one is going to be right around here. So if you haven't seen one yet, I thought I heard one, maybe I didn't. There it is. Reaper Queen, guaranteed every time, right here. There's your chords, 67.9, 72.7. That's it's a guaranteed one right there. And then if you didn't like that one or couldn't find one there because maybe someone just pulled it, if you go down over here and keep going down, hang to your left. Oh my goodness, I got hit by a Purlovia. I hate Purlovias so much. They are the bane of my existence. I hate Purlovias. I can't say it enough. I hate Purlovias. Yeah, I hate you too. What you're going to do is stay to your left, and when you get further and further down, you're going to see that you've run into the water over there, right? So there's like a little, Let's see if I can find it again. I just got lost for a second. I think I lost. Where'd it go? Is this it? Yeah, that might be it. All right, so you see this spot right here. So what you're looking for when you go, I'm gonna go back up so we can go back to the surface because we know where that one spawn is. There it is, going back in the exact same place I told you it would be. It moved and a new one came back. So hint, that's a free glitch spawn right there. You can find another one by going into this, going left right here. Keep to your left, and then as you're going this direction, what you're gonna do, keep to your left. And then as you get here, keep to your left, you'll get to like a little bit of a steeper point. And once you get to that steeper point, you can start turning to your right. And right around here, there is another Reaper glitch spawn. Oh, there it is. Found it. So here are your 2 Reaper glitch spawns. They always spawn in this spot and then that other spot. The coords of this one, 68.3, 65. So anyways, that is a ton of tips. I know it's a lot of information. I tried to give you it as quick as possible and it still took 30 minutes. But anyways, hopefully this video is something that helps you out. And if you don't mind, smack that like button, leave a comment below for the algorithm, and then consider subbing to the channel because it does help a lot. So anyways, hopefully these tips help you out. And other than that, teach.